How you doing? Okay, we're here. We're live. So obviously, some of you may be abuzz about the interview I just premiered of Amanda Knox. Some of you may be preoccupied with what's going on concerning George Floyd and Officer Chauvin in Minneapolis. So let me first address the George Floyd situation. First of all, I want everybody to know that George Floyd, his family, and even the denizens of Minneapolis have my greatest sympathies at this moment. It's inexcusable what Chauvin did. It's inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable. But I want to say that I see that the proper outrage is being seen in this. Like I see that the powers that would normally be trying to brush this under the rug or cover this up are not. And I can put that into a sharper leaf for you. Folks, I have a friend who's a law enforcement officer. This guy, whenever there's bad behavior by the police, this guy is always trying to give the argument for why those officers didn't do anything wrong and that sort of thing, right? Okay? This time with Chauvin, even that guy is like, nope, that guy has to go. Even the guy that's usually defending officers in this situation is looking at this situation going, nope, that guy's got to go. So when I see something like that, we're usually staunch supporters of cops in situations like these are suddenly going, nope, this guy is off the freaking record or off the chart, and even they won't support him. That tells me. Having said that the proper outrage seems to be showing. Hi, everybody, by the way. Hi, William. Hi, Jane. Hi, Dark Side of the Moon. Hi, Mitch. What's up, buddy? But what I want to say is that the proper outrage, I think, is being seen and shown at all levels here. That this is being recognized for what it is, and it's an absolute tragedy. Now, I do understand some people have a bone to pick with the charges. I don't want to get too much into the charges today, as much as I want to get into talking about the courts, but let me get to that in due time. Right now, everybody is properly outraged about this. So those of you out there rioting and looting and hurting people in the streets, here, in fact, let me just show you. Oop, hold on, let me see if I can find it again. Mob of rioters just murdered a man in cold blood in Dallas. So, folks, if you're out there murdering and rioting, what are you proving? What are you proving? I don't even want to show you guys this video of this gentleman dead on the street in Dallas. It's that bad. So, rioters and looters, please go home. Go home and take care of your families. If you're young people, go home and give your mom a hug and be thankful she's still here with you. Or whatever, whoever the loved ones that care about you, go home and show them some love, because what's happening right now is ridiculous. This is not helping George Floyd, these riots and everything. And if you are the type of person out there, as I've noticed, there are some people in my circle that do believe that rioting is a possible answer for this. If you are one of those people, can I at least ask you this? Can you stop the rioting now? And if you absolutely have to riot and destroy property and murder people like what's happened here in Dallas potentially, if you just have to do that and there's no other way, can you at least wait and see what happens in the courts? Because I want to see the judges and everybody in this. I want to see the courts set new precedent for what happens when cops end up in a situation like this. I want the courts to set a precedent where it's not as easy for cops to get away with this. Because people feel cops are able to get away with this, that's why all this rioting is happening. People feel justified in this rioting because they feel like cops get away with this all the time. So I think me being in what I've been doing the last 4.5 years and really looking into the criminal justice system, I see all these people rioting that they thought that was the next step, but it's not. The proper outrage is being felt by all of the proper people. The next step is the courts. We need a proper precedent set here. So if you really feel like rioting and looting is the answer to send your message, can you at least save it for when the courts possibly screw this up? Or maybe if the courts get this right and set a proper precedent so that it's not as easy for cops to get away with murdering people. And if they set a proper precedent, maybe we don't need to riot and destroy our own communities. You know what I mean? Am I right about that, folks? I mean, by rioting and looting and all this stuff, we're only diminishing ourselves. But like I said, if you think that's the only answer, can you at least save it for a more appropriate time? For instance, if the courts completely bungle this, you know? So, all right. Sorry, let me look at the chat here. What you guys were maybe saying while I was on my little rant there. Crap needs to stop. Yeah, it does. It's ridiculous. What I'm seeing right now on Twitter, folks, is just absolutely horrendous. It's completely unacceptable. It's a tweet from Lickety Snickum. I am going to go ahead here. I'm going to put a link in the chat for those of you who want to look at this video that I'm talking about. For those of you who don't want to look at it, don't. It's very graphic and it's not good. But for those who want to see it, there it is. That's a link. That's the link to the tweet that I'm talking about. So, you know, and I would say that I'm also concerned, and I don't know if it's true yet, and so that's why I'm careful in talking about this. But if it turns out to be true that there were people getting bussed in to these, you know, population centers, people getting bussed in to help the rioting and, you know, and that sort of thing, that's a pretty disturbing thing if it was happening. So if there's anybody out there, if in fact there was people being bussed in to some of these situations to fan the flames, if there's anybody that was, if that was in fact happening and you are somebody that was involved in that and you now, you know, regret your decision, I would be very interested to hear what you have to say. And if you have any proof of being paid to be bussed in. Like I said, I don't have any proof of this, so I don't know if it is true. But if it is true and there's proof out there to be had, I would be interested in seeing it. My email is scrolling across the bottom of this video the entire time I'm broadcasting. So if you can provide that type of proof that that was in fact going on, I will be very interested in seeing it. So, all right, and that's where you can send it. ericosam@gmail.com. All right. Now, that's basically what I want to say there is folks, let's stop the rioting now. This is not a time for it. I don't know that there ever is a time for it, but this is definitely not the time for it. If you absolutely have to riot, then riot if the courts bungle this. Riot then. But hopefully they won't bungle this. Hopefully they will set a precedent that will be helpful. It wouldn't surprise me either, but before I go talking about it like it's the absolute gospel, I would like to go ahead and look into it a bit and see if there's proof of it before I go saying that it's the absolute truth. So, and I'm aware it's a known thing to happen. That's why, you know, like I said, but before I say it was actually happening, I would like to have some solid proof to be able to show more than just my own hands in my pocket, basically, is what I'm getting at. So, but So I mean, and if that and if in fact that is happening or was happening or is happening, then when this is all done, we have a responsibility to seek out who, why, when, where, and we need to take an interest in why people were busing people into situations, and we need to flesh it all out. We need to do it with class, but we need to flesh it all out. You know, we need it to not be so easy for people to manipulate us, folks. This situation is ripe for another damn thing. I'm so pissed because this situation keeps deteriorating. We are ripe for a situation where Congress is going to pass another damn bill that's going to rob us of more of our rights. This situation, that's what this situation is ripe for. We have to be vigilant, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. You know, so I can't preach it enough. Everybody keep your heads and keep a cool head. And like I said, the next step here wasn't rioting. The next step here was making sure the courts don't bungle this and that they set a proper precedent that discourages officers who for some reason think they're above the law, like Officer Chauvin did. And hopefully they're going to set a legal precedent with this case. And hopefully the precedent set with that case, most likely Chauvin he'll probably, appeal it all the way to the United States Supreme Court, I'm sure. So we may end up getting it as nationally recognized precedent. So, like I said, the courts are the next step in the process. Let's be watching that. And if you absolutely have to riot, you can't stop yourself from going out and committing mayhem and murder, potentially murderers here in Dallas, robbing and looting and doing all those things. Well, at least save it for a time that would actually be more appropriate. Because right now, this rioting and looting is it's just making us look ridiculous, is what it's making us look like. So rioters and looters, go home. Go say I love you to your loved ones and put down, the sticks, walk away. Okay. And if you absolutely, like I said, if you absolutely have to do it, save it for a more appropriate time, as when the courts may bungle this. So there you go. All right. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So that's fine. Like I said, I'm not here to point out right or wrong, but right now the rioting is pointless because I believe everybody, including the people in government, recognize this as what it is. So the rioting is just selfish people trying to selfishly come up and get more for themselves, rob and loot stores, and loot stores and everything to get more for themselves, strictly for personal gain. George Floyd has nothing to do with it. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. So stop it. Go home. And like I said, if you feel it's your right as an American to eventually riot, then let's see if the courts get this wrong. Let's see if the courts bungle this. If the courts bungle this, then you can reconsider the rioting then and looting. From the Wolves. Yeah, I love it, T. Great. That's very well said. In fact, I'm going to put that up on screen for posterity. Very well said, T. I love it. I love it. That's my problem, is that the looting is purely selfish in my mind. Because like I said, even my friend in law enforcement, who normally defends officers in this situation, even he is like, nope. This guy totally screwed up. He's totally off the charts. And I mean, nobody is backing this guy up. Oh, wait. I heard there's one guy backing Chauvin up, and it happens, I guess, from what I'm hearing, I still have to fact check this, but if it's true, it would seem that Chauvin has hired the same lawyer that worked for the cop that shot Philando Castile. That'll tell you right there. You know, that should tell you all you need to know right there. That Chauvin went out and hired the lawyer that defended the cop that killed Philando Castile. So, you know, that's, crazy. Floyd's family needs to step up and get on the news and ask for. I have seen, I think, his brother or something on CNN. I have seen it. Like I said, I saw his brother on CNN talking about it and that sort of thing. So, I think they're on board. I think they want to help create some awareness here, and so I think that is what they're doing. So they're rioting in London too. See what I mean? What the hell? Why would London be rioting over something that happened in Minneapolis? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, see, Rhonda Nauman is putting her. That's the way I feel. I mean, once you look, we're all complaining about the death penalty, right? Let me compare this with the death penalty. We're all complaining that the punishment for murdering somebody is the state murders you, and people argue about the oxymoron that is, right? Okay, same thing here. You're rioting, and well, like this poor guy in Dallas getting murdered. You're rioting, destroying property, burning things down, all these things in answer because a cop murdered George Floyd. But you're committing all of this carnage in answer to the carnage. Do you understand? It's like an oxymoron. It's, and so that's kind of how I feel about it. Once the protesting turns violent and destructive, it's muddying the water. That's all it's doing is muddying the water. Oh, demonstrating. Oh, that's good. Demonstrating's good. Des Moines, Iowa has rioting now too. Yeah, I mean, you're getting a few bad apples. And maybe combined with this whole COVID thing, people that are out of work and we're looking for a quick way to come up and find something they could sell to feed their families. I mean, it could be that. This situation is fraught with problems, folks, because we're in the middle of COVID-19. You know what I mean? We're in the middle of that. And there have been people out of work for a while. So that could be fueling this. I mean, yeah. That's why our government needed to be preparing and building up PPE long before March 18th or middle of March when they finally started to take this seriously. They should have been doing things prior. This situation shouldn't have gotten so out of control. They should have been preparing sooner. We shouldn't have been locked down now going on what? Now going on 3 months, 2.5 months to almost 3 months. No, lockdown should have been not that long. We should have been figuring out ways, wearing masks, decreasing the rate of transmission so that we can start getting things. But that's not what happened. And now we have this situation, and now we have people taking advantage of it. And I mean, it's a sticky situation. You know what I mean? Because those people are eventually in the end are going to be like, well, I was destitute. I was out of work because of COVID-19 and, whatever. And that's going to be, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of rationale in this. And, it's just, I'll tell you what, folks, I want to see Chauvin pay badly. I want to see that guy pay because the shitstorm that motherfucker has kicked off, our country is burning because that asshole thought he was above the law. Okay? So let me just be very clear that when it comes to my anger in this situation, it is all squarely pointed like a red hot laser right at Chauvin. That guy is a piece of shit. And he kicked this whole damn thing off. It's his fault. He had people on the sidewalk telling him, you're killing him. He can't breathe. And he didn't care. He was just smiling. Reminding me of goddamn Officer Hoffer after he killed Michael Funk. about ready to dance a frickin' jig. Okay? So let's all keep our anger squarely pointed where it belongs on the jackass Chauvin. So I hope that guy is going to be getting his comeuppance. That's what I want to see here. And I am sorry that some bad apples have chosen to have our country burning over this, instead of focusing on what we need to do next to make sure this doesn't happen to other people. And that means focusing on the courts. How's it going, Mr. Capaldi? If Chauvin had been arrested immediately following the release of the video, wouldn't that have prevented? You know, that is a good point, Paul. Had they been more proactive, it might have prevented some of this carnage. I think there may be something to that, Paul. I believe you may have a point. Two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, these are all good points. The police chief should have come out immediately. Well, and here's the other thing, folks, is that the Minneapolis PD was coming out saying stuff like, oh, people shouldn't jump to judgment, shouldn't make rash judgments or whatever. And just yesterday I saw on Twitter, it just so happened to be at a MAGA rally, which for me is not so important, but it was officers from this department who were up at a podium at a MAGA rally, and they were talking about how some Obama-era policies had been tying their hands, and it prevented them from doing their jobs, and that now in the time of MAGA, that those restrictions have been lessened or lifted, and they're very thankful and everything, you know. As I watched it, I was sitting there thinking, it sounds like the Obama era things were probably preventing you from committing murder as you've done now. That's kind of, when I was watching it, that's kind of how it struck me. It seems like the protocols that were being placed on your department, or at least the protocols that were being implemented, were keeping your department from stepping out of line. And now that those things are gone, you just had a officer murder a man in public, and now the entire country's on fire. So good move, Minneapolis PD. You guys are freaking geniuses. Three other officers. All I can say is I don't know, but I would imagine Chauvin was the head officer, and when you're the officer in charge, I have less criticism of the subordinates, but I still feel that they should have been concerned and they should have intervened before what happened. So I feel that they have some culpability and they shouldn't just walk away from it, but I don't feel that they are as culpable as Chauvin. If he was the lead officer, if Chauvin was the lead officer, then they were all following orders. Just following orders doesn't completely excuse them, but for me, it lessens their culpability. Right. I mean, yeah, what's going on out there right now is just not helping the situation. So I hope all those people will just go home. Go home, folks. If you want to riot, save it for the possibility of the courts bungling this. And if the courts bungle this, then take it then. Do it then. Send your message then. Because right now the message isn't being sent. Everybody is properly outraged by this. Everybody is properly outraged. Everybody thinks that what Chauvin did was wrong. So let's see what the courts do. Go home, stop rioting and looting, go home and wait. And if the courts bungle this, then pick up your pitchforks and torches again and go do your thing. I wasn't suggesting that any onlookers should intervene. I never said that. I was talking about the other officers, the other 3 officers with Chauvin, and I believe they should have intervened. So just to make that clear, the people on the street, although I think maybe it would have been good if they could have intervened, I also would be very concerned for those people because they might have found themselves getting choked out with a knee in their throat. You see. So, that's the tricky thing there. But surely they all took an oath to protect and serve, Sharon, and that's why I say they're not completely off the hook. All I said was I feel they're less culpable. I feel they're less responsible. I did not say I feel that they should walk away scot-free because they certainly should not. But like I said, for me, I'm sorry, folks, if you disagree with me, but for me, the fact that those other 3 were most likely following orders, like I said, doesn't mean that they're not, that they have no responsibility. It just means for me they have a lesser degree of responsibility. That's just how I feel. So, but I think there's one thing we can all agree on here. They all screwed up. They all screwed up. Right? Am I right there? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. They all screwed up. Love that comment, by the way, T1. Love it, dude. Let me see. Don't take it the Scott name in vain. All right. So I guess there you go, folks. That's my 2 cents on the whole George Floyd situation right now. Like I said, the outrage is absolutely warranted. It's absolutely justified. The outrage that we all feel about this is 100% on the mark. We are all feeling that, and we are all 100% justified in feeling that. But what we're not justified in is in destroying our own communities right now to try to send the point. Because right now, the only way that this looting and rioting would have made sense is if the state of Minneapolis was not charging Chauvin and wasn't, if there wasn't the normal agencies that defend officers in situations like this weren't coming out and speaking against Chauvin. If all the indicators weren't showing that everybody is properly outraged about this, then rioting would have probably maybe then made sense. But for me, it makes no sense anytime. But for those of you who think it does make sense, then that's when your rioting would have made sense. But rioting when everybody's on the same page that this is an absolute outrage, rioting now is not helpful. It doesn't mean it. It just makes the people rioting look like jerks and selfish assholes. That's all it does, right? I would say if you want your rioting and looting to have any kind of meaning, then you need to save it for the possibility of when the courts bungle this. That's when it would then make sense. You would actually be sending a message in response to something. But rioting and looting right now makes no sense because everybody's properly outraged by it. So anyway. Right. All 4 need to be held accountable. Absolutely. And we're all on the same page with that. I'm just saying, for me, the 3 officers following orders who were probably very intimidated by Officer Chauvin themselves, well, I just feel that they're less responsible, just a little bit less responsible. But I believe they should have intervened and stopped it before it got that far. And because they didn't stop it, they're on the hook, in my opinion. They're on the hook now. That's it. I just feel that they're not quite as responsible as Chauvin himself is. If that makes sense to everybody. So, all right. So that was basically what I wanted to say about that. It was 30 minutes there talking about George Floyd and this current situation in our country. Folks, put down the torches and pitchforks. Go home. Say you love your moms and your children and go home. And if you got a riot, if that's the only answer, just at least wait for when it's warranted. Wait to see if the courts bungle this. Like I said, we really want to see the court set a good precedent here. Something that will send a message so that cops will stop doing things like this and feeling they're above the law. You know, that's what we really want. So let's keep our eyes on what happens in the courts. Okay. And I have no doubt that Chauvin's lawyer is going to probably try to drag this out as long as possible so that the trial ends up being 1 or 2 years from now, because he wants you all to forget. That's what he's going to want. And they're going to try to postpone this thing as much as they can, because they feel like everybody will then forget about it, and then he'll have a better chance. You see? So you can count on that type of stuff happening. So everybody, you're going to have to remember, you can't just forget about George Floyd, especially if you went out looting and burning down parts of America because you were outraged. Then you can't forget. If you do forget, you're a douche. Because if you were so outraged at what happened to George Floyd, that you were out burning down parts of America, that was what you thought was warranted, and if you just forget about George Floyd over the next couple months, you're a douche. Just so you know, just so I don't have to pull any punches here, and just so you people out there know exactly how I feel about you, that's exactly how it is. So if you forget about George Floyd and you were out there rioting and causing damage, you're a douche if you forget. All I'm saying. Anyway. All right. The business owners that are getting, looted it's terrible. Because I mean, a lot of those businesses are not. I mean, they're like little short storefront shops and stuff. It's just one little building, kind of thing. They're not. It's not. I mean, there might be some corporate stores in there possibly, but I would imagine many of the shops there are kind of like mom and pop. And that looting and stuff is going to hurt those little mom and pop shops. Yeah, the corporation, any of those shops that are like corporate, have a corporate name or whatever. Well, yeah, they're probably going to be fine because the corporation will absorb it, right? But the mom and pop shops, they're going to have a lot more trouble. They don't have a corporation that can absorb the loss. You see? So that's all the things that people have to think about in this. That's why I say I don't know that looting and rioting is the answer. But, hey, if you feel like that is the answer, then at least save it for a more appropriate time. So, all right. So, as I've heard, it seems that Chauvin has already secured the cop who defended, or the lawyer who defended the cop who shot Philando Castile. I don't know if you know who Philando Castile is, William. I've done a video about it, so you can go to my channel to the search bar and type in Philando Castile, spelled Philando. And you can go and you can watch my video about it. It's pretty tragic, but that officer hired a lawyer to defend him. Officer Chauvin has hired the same lawyer. Oh, I'm sure there'll be a lawsuit. Absolutely. I mean, and that's another reason why this looting and rioting needs to stop, because folks, by causing this much damage to the city and stuff, you're probably affecting the payout, the Floyd family is going to get. You know, that's another thing to consider here, as you're out there destroying parts of America and burning it down, right? So hopefully, I mean, and my heart goes out to the Floyd family, and I hope they get something that will give them the compensation that will be, you know, enough to help maybe allow his little girls to go to college eventually, if nothing else. I mean, to where they can live comfortably and eventually go to college at least. I mean, and that's no replacement for their father by any means. It's no replacement for their father, but at least you know, if they're able to have some kind of compensation that will allow them, you know, to be able to go and move on with life and get an education and make something of themselves and possibly become advocates for their dad to prevent other things like this in the future. Maybe, who knows? That's a lot for me to say what's going to happen with two little girls, but maybe. But at least if after this they have the ability to go to college and better themselves and do whatever they want, I think that's good. But like I said, nothing can repay, you know, what's happened and the way that their father has been taken from them. So, you know, yeah, it's a tragic situation. So, does anybody want to ask me anything about my interview with Amanda Knox? Noting that the George Floyd situation is absolutely tragic, you know, but after my interview with Amanda Knox, does anybody else have some questions about my chat with Amanda? You can ask me questions. I'll do whatever best I can. If I know the answer. I mean, it was a really, really good time speaking to Amanda. She was a lot of fun. She's a pretty smart cookie. It was a really good time. Yeah, stall for everything to cool down or hit the gas. And claim his client's freedom was sacrificed to stop the rioting and looting. Either way, cop needs 25 to life. Well, he's in it now. Okay. There's not gonna be any sympathy for him at this point. You know, see, this is what Nina is. Okay, we're getting back into George again. So this is what Nina didn't have with Michael Funk. Okay, the public didn't get to see Craig Hoffer getting ready to dance a jig, celebrating the fact that he killed the wrong guy, a hostage, as a matter of fact. Okay, this is in Neenah, Wisconsin, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. So the fact, when you see Chauvin, like, looking at the people who are trying to warn him that, you know, he's going to kill the guy, and Chauvin's just like looking at them with that smug look on his face and that smug smile that he had on his face, right? You know, and all that just reminds me of Hopper when he looked like he was about ready to dance a jig. You know, I shot somebody. I shot that guy. It was a hostage he'd shot, and he knew it was a hostage, and he was still happy and still about ready to dance a jig. And the public in Neenah didn't get to see that. And not only did they not get to see that, but they also then had officers from the Neenah Police Department who went on TV and lied to the public and said that Michael Funk had been warned before any shots were fired. That was an absolute lie. A lie. And that's what usually happens in these situations. And that's why I'm glad that this situation, it isn't happening that way. This guy is going to burn. So, all right. So that's it. All right. So back to Amanda Knox Williams. She's hot. Yes, she's very attractive. You're right. She's very much. She's a very good looking gal. When are y'all gonna get Drizzen on for a live chat, dude? He keeps saying no, Paul. You keep asking when. He keeps saying no. So I can't tell you when until he says something besides no. So, I mean, that was just a really fun conversation with her. it was even fun talking to Steve Moore, because when he talked about how Rafael Sollecito had come to stay at their house after this all had happened. He was in America, he was here in the States for a while, and so he actually stayed with the Moores. And Steve was talking about how he had put Rafael in the bedroom between his two daughters who were living there at the time, and that sort of thing, and how much he trusted Rafael. He said, the only time I seen the guy get anything like upset the whole time he was here, the closest I ever saw him get was when he was complaining about the kind of pasta we had gotten for when he was making dinner. And oh my God, I wanted to die laughing, because he's like, what is this? This is a crab. So there was a lot of funny moments. It was a really good time yesterday, interviewing and talking with Amanda and Steve. So it was, it was a lot of fun. So, and I hope you guys all liked that. That was hour and 20 minutes of content there that I felt was really solid. And, send him another t-shirt. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure that'll do it. Did your conversation with Amanda continue after what is shown in your premiere? Nope. Folks, I did have a very tight window with Amanda. She made it very clear that we had 30 minutes. She called me 2 minutes late. Right? So she called me 2 minutes late. And what you guys may not have noted, well, you might have seen it right at the end of her and I talking, where we disconnected and she had to call me back. Well, there were actually about 3 or 4 of those moments in the interview, because something was going on with the phone on her end and she couldn't hear me. I could hear her fine, but she couldn't hear me. So she would just like suddenly be going, I can't hear you. And so she would have to hang up and call me back. And she had to call me back like 3 different times. It was funny, but anyways. So, but no, I had a very tight window. And as you can see at the end of that interview, I'm actually telling her, I'll go, okay, we got a couple minutes here left. Let me squeeze this question in. And I squeezed in my question about Jeff Lowe and Tiger King. And so she let me get away with that one. And then I said, well, thank you, Amanda. I go, but if you'll let me just squeeze in one more question. She let me push it a bit, folks. She stuck with me for about 38, 39 minutes. And she had said 30, but she let me push the envelope on it a little bit. And I'm very grateful to her for it. We had a great time talking. I'm very happy she let me push that envelope a little bit. I mean, she easily, when the call hung up there at the end of our talk, she was over the 30 minutes. She could have easily just not called me back and just been like, okay, that's, but she didn't. She's just not like that. And so she called me back. I was very impressed with her. I thought she's a really sweet person. I was very impressed. And yeah, I was able to get an extra about, maybe 8 minutes, 7 minutes out of her. Part of me feels bad. I guess I know she's very busy. I mean, folks, you guys go over and listen to her podcast. She's constantly doing work on that and reviewing for that. And then her and her husband are editing that. And she's a writer and she's writing constantly, and her husband's a writer. So they're constantly on the move. They got a lot going on and they're busy people. And so she gave me 30 minutes and she let me push that 30 minutes. And I just can't say enough. I'm very thankful that Amanda was willing to give me a little bit of time yesterday. It ended up being brilliant. Oh my God, you guys heard how passionate she was about Brendan. I love that. When I went into it with her, I was hoping she knew about Brendan, and I was hoping that I would get something like that from her, but I didn't know. I didn't know that what exactly I was going to get from her on that, or even on Steven, or even facts in her own case. I wasn't sure how candid or open she would be with me. She was very, very, in my opinion, very candid and open with me, and it was very, very interesting. She's really, really a cool person, folks. I hoped that I will be able to get her back on at some point, but I'm going to wait a while because I know she's really busy. And I'm going to probably dig into more of the documents of her case before I approach her again to possibly come back on. So I'm also looking to approach many other wrongfully convicted people. So that's also something that I'm working on, to bring greater awareness to wrongful convictions as a whole. Because as I said in the past, I believe making ourselves aware of other wrongful convictions makes us able to more effectively argue our ground when we're arguing for Avery Dassey or other wrongful convictions that we might be arguing. It really helps to have a fuller fundamental knowledge of wrongful convictions and the types of things that happen that prosecutors and investigators do time and time again that result in them. And as we begin to create more awareness of that, so that more and more of the American public starts to become aware that, yes, these things are happening on a daily basis, and our system is ignoring it. They know it's there, but they're ignoring it. And it's going to be up to the people to eventually shake the system and get the system paying attention. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to build toward. She was impressed by Cassell. Koze. Oh, yeah. I will say that when she started saying thank you to me for what I'm doing, and I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I don't know. I guess it's because I'm a shy guy, but I didn't know what to do. When she started praising me like that, I wanted to hide. I don't know. I don't know how to take praise like that. It's very weird, but I mean, she was very sweet to say it. I mean, she was very sweet to say it. So I was, like I say, she's a very impressive individual. She's a lot of fun. And especially the part when we were talking about Xena and Hercules at the beginning. Oh my God. I about died laughing at the beginning when her and I was like, I had to pull myself out of a full on belly laugh so that I could continue the interview, because I just wanted to just roll after she was saying, if we had met up and you were dressed up as Hercules, we'd have had a great old time. I was in the middle of a belly laugh that I just had to curb it and get back to the interview because, well, like I say, I only had a 30-minute window, so I didn't want to waste her time. So anyways, no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, so many great things in that interview. The way she acted when I asked her about singing with the Exoneration Band, and she's just like, "Who told you that? Did Steve Prison tell you that?" Oh, anyways, there was a lot of good times in that. It was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. So, it's getting hot in my studio. My face is getting red. Yeah, I'm somewhat shy. I don't know if you noticed, but I can be. Yeah. Not so much on YouTube anymore. I'm pretty used to being here on YouTube, but yeah, Oh, I needed to ask the Captain Crunch question? No, sorry, dude. I wasn't going to perplex Amanda with that question. And the amount of preface that I would have had to do for it to make any kind of sense to her would have eaten up a large portion of my 30 minutes. And so sorry, but not this time. Who are you and what have you done with Eric Rosie? Yeah. Dude, I was laughing when she said that. I was laughing. I was I'm still laughing about it. It's hilarious. It was funny. Yes, T1. I already said in the live that I'm gonna probably try to arrange that with Jerome for next weekend to go through the European High Courts of Human Rights decision. It's getting hot in here. I'm not taking off all my clothes. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, T1, you little shy too. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. All right. Well, So that's what I wanted to get up and talk about today. I wanted to say what I wanted to say, what I had to say about George Floyd. Again, wanting to make the point of, folks, we need to be looking at what's going to happen in the courts with this. That's what we really need to be focusing on. All this crap that's going on right now is a distraction. We need to be looking to what's going to happen in the courts with George Floyd. It's a huge part of this, and we need to discourage the destruction that's happening out there, because right now the destruction is, number one, it's unfortunate whenever destruction has to happen, but this destruction is happening pointlessly because everybody is properly outraged by this. The time for another protest or possible riot and looting would be if the courts bungle this. I can't make that point enough. I can't say it enough. I hope everybody out there will understand that is the next point. Don't go forgetting about George Floyd, because I guarantee you this isn't going to come to trial tomorrow. It's not. It's not coming to trial tomorrow. So everybody's going to have to remember George Floyd and how properly outraged you felt today and yesterday. Okay? You're going to have to hold on to that and remember that. Okay? Because it was so important that we started burning down parts of America. So we're going to need to remember this. You know, we've kind of committed ourselves to making this a pertinent point that we don't forget. You know, so I had a question about Steve and Amanda, if you had time. Okay, yeah, what is it, Sherry? All right, waiting on Sherry's question here before we wrap up. Oh. Let's see. The interview. Whoops. The interview was awesome. Steve wrote that paper or letter for Amanda. Did that then help spark an investigation? Is that how he helped, or did he do more? That's one of the ways he was helping. I mean, you heard him talk about how he did that. He wrote that paper. There's 2 other papers he wrote. If you guys look at the link that Travis put up during the live chat, in the live chat, he put up a link to all the documents for this case. And he, in there, you can find a section, if you scroll down, a section where it deals with Steve Moore. And there's actually, I think, 3 or 4 different things that he filed in this case. The mountain of missing evidence was the first thing that I had looked at. There's a lot of stuff to go through on that website, though, so I haven't gotten much deeper than that just yet. But there are other things. And yes, he was there. I mean, you heard him say he was on Italian TV doing commentary on this, and they actually had the reporter, Nick Pisa, from the documentary. That guy was actually doing the translation for Steve on TV and over in Italy. So he was translating Steve's English into Italian for the Italian people when they were doing commentary back when this was going on. So that's how involved Steve was. He was there. He was very much a part of what was going on. So oh, anyone for a cookie? Yeah, I want one of those cookies. Although it's going to take 2 weeks for it to get here, even if you did send it. And by then it'll be all stale and hard. So, you know, may as well just keep them over there where you guys can enjoy them while they're fresh. At least you can get one to Jane quicker than you can get one to me. So you might be able to send one to Jane. Before you go, can you put that link up again? Because I can't find it. Yeah, let me get you the link. Get you guys. I'm gonna get you the link here, and then I'll put it in the. I'll put the link that I'm gonna put here now. I'll put it in the description below. As soon as I'm done here, as soon as I end the broadcast, I'll go in and edit and add this link into the description. Whoops, wrong thing. Hold on, just gotta pull it up here. All right, here's the link. Alrighty, so there you go. That is the basically that's like StephenAvery.org for Amanda. The StephenAveryCase.org, but that one's for Amanda. And it's basically got all the stuff. Now, not everything is in English, folks. A lot of stuff is still in Italian. So, but many of the main things have been translated into English, and some things even into, I think, Spanish or Portuguese, maybe. Hold on, let me see what some of the languages. Well, it's basically just Italian and English here. I thought I saw some other languages, but no. So most of the things have been translated, and they're offered in both languages. But some things are only in Italian. So, but anyways, interesting site. It's like I say, it's basically just like StephenAveryCase.org, but it's for Amanda's case. So the Twitter video. Oh, geez. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. There you go, William. So that's the Twitter video. It's yeah, it's disturbing image. That's for sure. I get what you mean, Mal Daily. There, I get what you mean, and I will say that the things that Harry says do smack of desperation, and I feel pretty sure I'm gonna be able to very handily, deal with his claims about the case. A lot of the things that he says just strike me as circumstantial, highly circumstantial, and just lacking substance in a lot of ways. Or even if the small thing that he is claiming is, really true or whatever, it's like it's still just such a small thing. It doesn't somehow change the fact that there's no evidence to prove that Amanda and Raphael Solicito had anything to do with this. I mean, it's just, yeah. So, anyway. Okay, folks. So, there you go. When Jane goes to Scotland, she's probably going to get there before me. That's for sure. So, alrighty, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to say what I wanted to say regarding George Floyd. So thank you all for tuning in and hanging with me. Also wanted to give people a chance to ask questions about the Amanda interview. It was a lot of fun. So that's it for this one. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.